We good? Okay. Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome back to episode 2. Thank you for coming back. I don't know why you did, but thank you for coming back. Um, this is the Be Fucking For Real podcast where we get feral about horror movies and dark romance. I am Selena Michelle, and this is Lilith Siren.
Hello.
Hey, hey. So, I guess we don't really need to do the intro that we did last week because y'all already know why you're here. Um, and if you don't, go back and listen to that episode. Um, so with that being said, where the hell have you been, Loka?
Making bad decisions.
I love that. I love that for us.
Well, I tend to sync up with the universe a lot, and it's just so fucking funny that this week books we chose um had a lot to do with breeding, and that's just been my week.
Ma'am?
and oh, fucking literally, I have a pair of, I told you this, I have these two pairs of birds. I don't know what kind of birds they are. They come and trying to make a nest on my AC unit outside, and they're like fucking constantly
Also,
outside.
they're also breeding.
They're it's the springtime. It's springtime. It's time for fucking and mating. It's mating season. That's what I've been on, mating season. So many animals.
Okay.
I have a birds outside of my window, and I had to put a box on top of my AC unit so that way the sticks wouldn't fall into my AC unit and break it, because I've had that AC unit since I moved here. And so it's just been like, and the deer are out. I've almost hit like 6 deer because they're worried about fucking across the road. It's a normal thing. Mating season's horrible. It's all about mating season. And you know what?
What part of Florida do you live? Well, you can bleep this out.
I live in Central Florida. I can say that. I live in Central Florida. So
Okay.
Florida's so big and has so many cities that, like, unless I specifically say certain venues or something else like that, they're not gonna know. Or if I say certain landmarks, that's why I also didn't say what kind of birds, because even in Florida, all our animals, we know where the birds are, and certain birds are, which is crazy.
Yeah, like last week I learned that Florida has fucking huntsman spiders. What is that? What is that about?
Australia, not as much. They're not that, and they're mostly in southern Florida, to be honest.
Okay, give me like with your
Sure.
hands, show me about how big they get.
The ones down south can get pretty big. They can get like, I would say probably a nickel bit, a nickel,
Oh, okay, that's actually small. But
a nickel. I've never
because
seen.
the ones in Australia,
No, they're not as big as ones in Australia. They can get, their legs get big, but not their body parts get big. Their legs are big. Um, we have a lot of
no,
animals here. A lot of weird.
yeah, Florida is the Australia of the United States, and for that reason, I will never live there. The fact that you're getting me to go there in July,
I mean,
it's
going to like the beach. So, which again, that's not
yeah,
revealed.
we're going to the bougie part,
Yeah, going to
right?
the bougie. Well, I wouldn't count where we're going, the bougie part, but that would be closer to the other side. We're going to like the spring break capital of the world, but it has really the best beach. Which I'm still fucking pissed that they're charging fucking parking now on the beaches. Because what the fuck? We
I
got tear
mean,
it. Now you're gonna charge me to park to go to a fucking land, like, water? That's bullshit. Um, but
can
yeah,
we? I mean, I guess we don't need to discuss that here. We can just
yeah, figure that out.
never
But
mind.
but
But yeah,
um, just a lot of spring. Just a lot of spring. I'm not feeling the best today, but we're working through it. Um,
period.
and I've got like a week and a half before I go on tour, so I'm just trying to relax and chill out.
Oh yay, I get to see you in person again soon.
It's exactly twice. Um, I did get a little fun wasted Wednesday. I may have, because every now and then I go out maybe once every 2 months, and it was great.
Yeah, got a little white girl wasted there, did ya?
Oh, that was not white girl wasted. That was ratchet wasted for sure. I was twerking everywhere. I don't remember. I just know my ass has gotten fatter from one.
And we love to see it.
Well, it was funny because like the bartender that I always used to like always have, like, the manager and shit like that I see. He looked at me and he was just like, he came up behind me. He goes, "I recognize that ass." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I'm working on it. Yeah. What have
I
you
love
been up?
that. Um, well, I've been fighting with a car insurance company. Um, and in terms of my love life, um, I have an update for you. And for those of you that are listening to this for the, like, you're meeting me for the first time, or you just don't know this story, like, here's some piping hot tea. Um, so I will say that because I've been reading the dark romance specifically and like contemporary romance for the last like year and a half, my taste in men has changed in a way that I was not prepared for. And when I say that, I say I am now attracted to white men.
No.
And to be fair, I've always been attracted to white men, but it's like the white men of the celebrity variety, like the ones that are unattainable and I can just look at, you know?
Yeah.
In real life, I have not been attracted to a white man in at least a decade.
Well, you know,
So, oh God, I feel so old being able to say that.
yeah.
Anyway,
You know,
um,
so
you said what?
you know, I married one,
Yeah, I know.
and that's what's funny.
Um,
White man, I've like one. I've dated two white men, and I married one, and one was my first high school boyfriend. That was it. I mean, the rest
yeah,
just delved in. I was
yeah.
like,
Well, and I think at some point I just stopped being comfortable with the way that I was feeling fetishized. And so I was just like, I'm just gonna not. And then I started reading these books, and so now because and the thing is these white men in these books are so basic. Like, I mean, they have abs and whatever, but they're literally, what did I say last week? A man in finance. You know what I mean? Like just 6'4", a big back, like a big muscly back, and then fucking abs for days
yeah.
with thighs the size of tree trunks. Like, hot. It's hot. So, um, I am now attracted to basic white men. This does not mean that y'all can come into my fucking DMs, okay? No.
And no hate, her preference.
What?
I'm saying no hate because this is your preference because I know somebody's gonna bitch
No.
about
Well, no, but I will say I'm attracted to white men, but I am an equal opportunity employer. I love everybody. And I mean that so literally because I am also pansexual. So
it. Yeah,
like
both pan-
literally everybody can get it, okay?
if we didn't ever, I am Demi pansexual and you pansexual.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's
Um
so fat.
I, oh, you can't see my flag in the background, but I have a flag hanging up back there.
All I can see is
Um all you can see is who?
you went like this, and all I saw was Catwoman's ass, like behind your
Oh
head.
yeah. Yeah.
um,
Um
but
but yeah, so there was this, and I really hope that nobody that I work with ends up finding this podcast because it it's not a lot of us in on my team, so they will first of all know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about, and this will be very embarrassing, especially if he finds it because we never actually had a conversation about this. But anyways, so there was this boy, and I'm calling him a boy because he's 24, and I didn't know this at first. I just thought he was cute, and then he started flirting with me, and so it was like workplace flirting, you know, and I was like, oh, this man is flirting with me, whatever. But then I found out that he was 24, so I dialed it all the way back because I am about to be 34. And then he continued flirting with me, and my dumbass is like, oh, he's giving you attention. Pay attention to him back. I need to unlearn that real quick. Um, but anyway, um, so, at one point we were talking about something, and not once, not even twice, but 3 times, I gave him the old.
not the finger guns.
Really, really, really embarrassing. And like the second time that I was doing it, I was like, why are you doing this? You don't need to do this. Why are you doing this? Continue doing it. And then I did it a third time. I don't even remember what the context was around the third time because I think that I blacked out. Like, I have no fucking clue.
Finger man
So,
3.
anyways, after that encounter, I gave him my number. He did not text me. And I gave it to him in Teams, so he never even responded to that Teams message. And I was like, okay, heard, whatever. And like, I really, again, he's significantly younger than me, which is not like a complete, absolute, like hard no, but it was already just a barrier, and it was fine. My feelings were not hurt. I just was more so embarrassed about the finger guns thing. So anyway, I just wrote it off. We continued interacting at work in person, but neither of us have sent messages in that Teams thread ever since. And that was going on like 3 weeks ago now. And so the other day I was doing something that required me to sit next to him, like in the cubicle that was next to him. And so we were talking with his other coworker and we started talking about ice cream. And he mentioned that he doesn't like chocolate ice cream. And I was like, you don't like chocolate? And he was like, no. And then to his coworker, he said, well, you know what I said to so and so? And I was like, well, what did you say? And he just kind of like, he hesitated and laughed a little bit, but it was that type of like, oh, damn, she caught me. I didn't really want to repeat this. And I'm not gonna lie, when he said he didn't like chocolate, immediately a red flag went up. I was like, that doesn't just stop at ice cream or cake.
Yeah, lazy.
And and he he was like, well, I said I like my women like I like my cake, because I guess when he said it to that other person, they were talking about cake. And he was like, and I don't like chocolate cake. And I was like, oh, okay. And the conversation died for about 3 minutes, and then we started talking about something else. But it just, it immediately made me remember why I stopped allowing myself to have interest in white men. Because I don't, I don't remember what it feels like to navigate that interaction. You know what I mean? Like, to realize, oh, this man wrote me off automatically just because of the color of my skin. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter the type of person that I am or whatever I have going for me or what I bring to the table. All of that it doesn't matter because I'm black. And it's crazy. And at first I was like, it's fine. Like, I'm not internalizing this. And for the most part, I didn't. But then I went to the gym and I was full of feminine rage and I squatted 200 pounds for the first time. So,
yeah. Unfortunately,
um,
black woman, you do have to like vet around, unfortunately,
yeah,
before actually getting an interest in somebody. And it was good that the way you did flirt and you kind of weren't obvious about it. Like you were vetting out the situation. You weren't trying to let yourself
right.
get caught up in.
Well, right. And then um, my initial thing with like even going as far as to give him my number was like, what if this man is a Trump supporter? What if he is just racist and he's just nice to us because he works with us? You know, all of these things. And then like we were having a conversation that day in Teams and I was leaving. And I was like, I'm going to the gym now, but if you want to text me, here's my number.
Yeah.
And he didn't text me, which again is fine. Like, and that's why I said I didn't really feel rejected because the context for me of the way that I gave him my number was like on a friend basis, which is fine because I did enjoy talking to him. We had things in common, but there's so much. I understand people having preferences and whatever, but there is a lot of misogynoir that is rooted in that preference, particularly with white men and with black men. Like, and it's not to say that you don't have to navigate this with black men, but like it's a lot easier to navigate knowing what black men are for you than when they're not. It's very easy to know what black men do not like black women. It's really easy to spot. With white men, it's not as easy, at least for me.
Yeah.
But again, because I haven't been interested in white men for a really long time, so that was just the thing that I was like, oh yeah, that sucks. And then when I was at the gym, every man that I like found attractive, it just made me really angry. Because
Well,
I was like, he's hot. God damn it, why is he hot?
Well, I mean, that kind of preference to show you that like my 8 year marriage ended because like I had like the best friendship with the person I had, but he literally wasn't into black girls when we first started dating to begin with. He never
Yeah.
was, and and it kind of showed out in the end. Like even though we were like, love isn't enough sometimes, and that if that attraction is,
Right.
you can do about it. And I genuinely don't have anything bad to say about my ex husband other than the way we kind of had our divorce at the end, but um yeah, I went through an 8 year marriage with somebody that I was best friends with since high school and cared about me, loved me, like was supportive of everything I was doing, like supportive of my nerd stuff. We were both into the same things, like was very into me, but at the same time, he was more into my personality. And just at the end of the day, and like I told you before, like literally we broke up because I'm a Scorpio and the Scorpio ass I am. I literally was like, "Do I break up?" He was like, "Wow." I was like, "I feel like you've been distant, even thinking about this for a while. Do you just want to separate?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think so." And we broke up within a day, and then like started separating everything within a week of an 8 year marriage. Um, and
I know it's a lot of people that are that are divorced that envy that.
I mean, I knew, and it, like it didn't hurt. It's not like it didn't hurt afterwards, or I didn't go through a lot afterwards. But like,
Of course.
I don't believe in forcing somebody to stay that doesn't want to be there. And so
Right.
like, I don't think he didn't want to be there. He even said it during our conversation. He was just like, if we had kids, I would have loved you to be the kids of my mom, and like we would just have I would have co-parented with you, like if we did get down that far, like whatever, blah blah blah. But that's not my point. The point is, like literally a week later, after we did all that stuff and everything, he started pursuing his coworker who was blonde and white within a week.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy. And like again,
who
I'm
was
not this isn't a space where we're like yucking somebody's yum. If that's your preference, that's your preference. Like I'm not, but I think my thing is with white men particularly,
mm-hmm.
I think it's important to look into why that is your preference.
I'll just don't put her on to do not disturb.
See, the problem is I have two phones,
Oh, she got
so I
two,
have to put both of them on do not disturb.
one for the bitches and one for the hoes.
Um,
Well, you know,
oh, it did it for both. But
you know
sorry. Now
what
everything is on do not disturb.
I'm gonna say, you know who doesn't have
But
the characters of our book we're going to talk about? Because they definitely don't fucking see color at this point.
they don't see species either.
Definitely don't.
It doesn't matter. Also,
Like that segue.
um now that we have um wrapped up our Where Have You Been Loca portion of the evening, I would like to welcome you to the podcast of a killer. Shout out to my best friend Lily for getting me this shirt for Christmas 2 years ago.
Yeah, and if you're listening, watching, it literally says this is the skin of a
Oh
killer.
yeah, if you're if you're listening, I'm wearing a shirt with Robert Pattinson on it where he looks really, really awkward. And it says this
Oh,
is the skin of a killer Bella. And
everybody,
there's glitter all over his outfit.
yeah, everybody knows the meme. It's him in that weird ass tracksuit meme. Everybody knows the meme.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just him in the woods in that outfit.
Yeah. As if you could outrun me.
Literally. Um,
Just also beware to those of you who do not fuck with Twilight like that. Um, we will be doing a Twilight episode. We might even have a whole segment. So just like buckle the fuck up because it's happening.
I mean, I've already said this before. That movie is a horror movie, depending on the character's perspective. It's
Mhm.
definitely horror from Charlie's perspective.
Why you always gotta bring up Charlie?
It's true. But am I wrong? Am I wrong though? Like,
No.
I'm doing that. Well, imagine being a cop. You have a daughter. She runs away to Arizona with her mom. She comes back. She talks to you for a week. She meets this really pale guy and runs off with him. Then she starts saying, crying every night. He comes back. They get married. Then she
Yeah,
has a.
like I just
It's a horror movie.
there's so much to unpack with that fucking series.
We'll get there.
And we will, because but I'm telling you right now, I'm not reading it again. I have my notes from when I reread it last year. We'll just go off of that because
Yeah,
I'm not putting myself through that. I will read the rest of the series, but I'm not starting over from the beginning again. I already read Twilight and New Moon recently, so we'll start with Eclipse. But
okay.
that will probably be in like September, October because that's season. So.
Um. So this week we decided, for my choice, we were going to be reading or discussing Ruby Dixon's Ice Planet Barbarians. I chose this book because it's very one. You know, like I said, springtime, mating, all that good stuff. Two, this was kind of like an older book because I think this came out in 2015. Yes, it came out in 2015, so this came out a decade ago. Ruby Dixon wrote this 10 years ago, um, or published it 10 years ago, and this was like the original like the book tart girly books. This book came out, like, it was a viral sensation, and it's such a short read, but it was so quick, and we just couldn't not cover it. It was just something that like brought romance books back on the internet market for social media, and so definitely wanted to cover this one for sure. It's one of my favorite like guilty pleasure books for sure. Um,
Yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I'm just looking over my notes. I'm funny, yo.
let's get into the trigger.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, so we have abduction, dubious consent, hostages, hunting, injury, murder, pregnancy, profanity, rape, which we did warn you in the last episode. Update on that. If you read the new printed version of her book, the updated printed version, it does not have that scene in it anymore. However, the Kindle
Oh,
does still. Like the audiobook
and the
still.
audiobook also does,
Yeah. So
because
if you,
I heard it.
yeah. Well, they, like I said, the Kindle still has the scene in it, but in the new printed versions of the book, because they haven't updated the Kindle, but the new printed versions have the scene deleted. And on top of that, apparently Ruby Dixon has a Ice Planet podcast. I didn't know.
Oh shit, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, where she discusses the series of the books, and describes a lot of it. And she does admit, like, when she was like, she has a lot of other books that are really good. This is like her really shortest book, um, and like her least world building book, because she writes a lot of sci-fi and a lot of like fantasy books. But she did say that like there were a lot of trigger things and a lot of outdated material and a lot of triggering material she wishes she hadn't wrote, and that was one of the things in the first book. So she does regret writing that scene, and that's why it is taken out of the printed version, the new updated printed version. Um, she was obviously beginning writing during then, and was just, she is, if you, one thing about this book is it's a great at world building. It's 100% like the world.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you said that this is her least world building book,
Yes, she has
and
like,
that's crazy because it's still so much world building. She does a really good job of like um merging world building with like forward movement of the plot
yes,
instead of doing one or the other.
yeah. So there is a book. If you read the new printed version, you won't see it. There's, if you like get a PDF online, you're most likely in it. Um, it is on pages. I think I wrote it down. In the Kindle, in the books, it's page 1 and 2. I believe in the Kindle version, it's like 8 and 9. I'm not sure. Um, but like we said in the last episode, um, it is mentioned off screen that it happens, alluding to it. There's no descriptor really at all. It's just they blatantly mention that Georgie, our main character, is witnessing someone being raped by the first set of aliens. So, um, we will try. I'm gonna make sure whenever we do publish the episode that we both research and make sure we have the cutout scene for both, and we'll recommend the printed version without the rape scene, and then with the Kindle we'll do the trigger warning of where to skip, or the audiobook of where to skip. Um, so then we have sexism, sexually explicit scenes, sickness, trauma, and violence. So I think they did a really good job with that. And if you,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say we do have that link up in our link tree where you can, once we make our book picks for the following month or whatever, I will put up a link of where you can find the books. I typically do Barnes and Noble links, um, or I link the author's website so
Okay.
that you can buy it directly from the author or from Barnes and Noble. And I also mention like getting it from the library because some of the books that I get through the Hoopla or Libby app. Um, and like I said, with the audiobook for this, it did have that scene in it, but for like the printed versions or whatever, they usually have the most updated version. So
Right. And I think I want to go ahead and put in link tree whenever we do this. I get every trigger. I'm going to start getting trigger warnings from booktriggerwarnings.com. It's really good for typing any books that we read, and if we miss any tropes or anything else like that, it'll have that listed on there. So if you want to read that before we get to it, especially if we're just like, oh, we're doing this book next week, blah blah blah. These are warnings we have. You want to read it ahead of time? Go to book. We'll have that link for you. Tropes in this book: aliens, bonded, Carrie Van Carrie, damsel in distress, fated mates, first contact, forced proximity, happily ever after, he falls first, hurt comfort, multiple POVs, no third act breakups.
oh,
Yes,
hate
I
a
love
third act breakup.
act breakup. Um, One of the tropes is who did this to you. I love that as a trope. Um,
I love that trope.
I do too. So yeah. Um, those are our trigger warnings. So we'll go ahead and get into the book. So Ice Planet Barbarians. I'm just gonna read this summary from Reddit.
Okay.
She did a really good job and she's funny. The basic premise of this book is a whole bunch of women get kidnapped by little green men off Earth and end up crash landing on an ice planet where they are rescued by 7-foot tall blue horn aliens. There's poison in the atmosphere, so they all get semi-magical symbiotic parasites in order to survive. Parasites have a thing where each person has to resonate with their ideal mate. Basically, it makes them super fertile and horny, so that each book makes each end with the main couple happily banging out tiny blue alien babies. This premise should not work, but it does. It's fated mates. And that's pretty much the the whole point. This book has a lot of trauma in it, just because, not in a way you think, but like because it is a survival book as well.
Right.
It's the point is they're like, and I really appreciate that about this book. It makes it like, it does give me some existential crisis at some points of the book. Because it's like they get abducted, and I think that's, I don't really advocate for a rape scene, but I like, that is the only part of the rape scene I'm like, it kind of like makes sense to have that in the book the first time, was because it kind of gives you the mortality of what the situation is, of how scary it is to be like,
Right. Why they opted to escape versus stay.
and a lot of the times when you have all these characters going into space and stuff, they don't cover the danger. This book covers a lot of the dangers of coming into a new world. It's not like the fifth, like, what it, there's a trope in movies where it's just like, I call it the female baby. Whenever they have male characters that have different like species of women, or like the Fifth Element, where they automatically fall in love with a person who's just like being born for the first time, and
Hmm.
they automatically attract to that person, like in the first, that's what the only thing in the Fifth Element that really kind of like irked me, was the fact that he was so enamored with this woman who was like slowly a baby, basically a baby brain, learning really quickly, like in Species.
Yeah.
I was like, you're falling in love with this woman, she just doesn't speak your language, like you're just, it's weird, it's weird,
It's weird.
it's weird. um but this book really, like, that was one of my favorite things, just the world building in this book. Basically, Georgie is our main character. She gets abducted in the middle of the night, and by, again, green aliens, and um like I said, we get that rape scene, unfortunately. But they decide to escape because they know they're not, they've learned that They're going to be sold because we have Liz has which one has the communicator in her ear? It's Liz, isn't it?
Say that again.
Which one has the thing in her ear?
It's not Liz.
It's
I'm not gonna lie to you, I'd be forgetting their names. It's the girl I think that's like more reserved,
yeah, I
and
can't
that
remember.
was not Liz. Liz was a fucking loudmouth, and I say that with love because I liked her.
Um,
Um,
so we have one character. Was her name Claire? I don't know. The third character. There's a character who basically the aliens implant because she was deaf in one ear, and so they implanted something in her ear that basically she can hear and translate alien languages through her ear, and so that's how they communicate and understand what the aliens, the green aliens, want from them, and they want to sell them on the market to other aliens, which is fucking terrifying when you actually fucking think about it. Like these
yeah,
shit look like it's fun and whimsical. I'm like, no, if I fucking landed on a crash, like I would be. This book really cements for me how fucking scary it would really be to be like abducted by aliens.
yeah. I still wouldn't mind not living on this planet right now. Well, yeah. I think it was Josie.
No, yeah, I think so. I think so.
I'm looking up the wiki for it.
So they escape. In this planet, like we said, it's poisonous gas pretty much. So like you have to basically have this parasite to adapt to the fucking cold ass environment, poison gas. And so the girls, she escapes with a bunch of the girls. Girls are already dying. Georgie goes off on her own because they find a ship. They escape. Um, and so Georgie goes on her own to like see what she can do to help, basically. And that's where she finds. I'm gonna try. I think I pronounce it Vectel. You think it's Vectel?
It's Vectel
Okay. Um,
or
and
Vectal,
yeah, and so that's where our story starts because they don't speak each other's fucking language. Um,
which I want to say this is the only time that I appreciate a miscommunication trope because it was cute. Like it was very like it wasn't for lack of trying. They were definitely trying to communicate with each other, but the miscommunications that they were having were kind of funny because like it he would be like, "Oh yeah, this, blah blah blah," and she'd be like, "Yeah," and they were not talking about the same thing at all.
he's just like, we'll go back to the house, and she's like, yeah, we'll go back to the yeah, and
Oh
he's
yeah,
like,
when she was trying to go up to the mountain, he's like, "Mountain,"
and
and he thought that she wanted to fuck, and I'm like,
but it's realistic. And they explain, like I said, Ruby Dixon does a very good job, especially in this book of world building and like
yeah,
plot. We went from like character building in the last one to like plot heavy in this one. We switched
mhm,
roles, which
yeah,
I really liked about this book because whenever you kind of get the idea, like I like that they were like. I like that he found her funny. They felt upon each other funny looking at the beginning, and they were instantly attracted to each other.
yeah.
Because I'm just like, you're not going to be instantly attracted to a blue furry man with 3 toes and a horn. And he's just talking
See, and
about
this is how I know that something is wrong with me because instantly I was like,
maybe. I forgot what it was because it's in my notes, but like, it's funny because he hated her hands too. It was like there was like little things
yeah,
like picking out with each other, like this is weird, and then they grew to love things about each other, which was
yeah,
nice. Him calling her Shorshi, that was cute.
yeah,
Because again, they're different species, so their linguistics aren't brought in from the same level of their facial structure and anatomy, so they don't know
yeah.
others' languages and stuff like that. I love how she put those little details.
This is um a book that I would honestly really love to see adapted into a movie as long as they did it well,
Yeah,
because I think that would be really cool to watch like that happen.
yeah. Um. Well, so besides this planet being a complete ass, it is. It's complete ass. The whole planet
No, it
itself.
is. It's
They have,
also like terrifying, like
that's what I'm
the
saying.
part where she tries to like get water from the fucking creek and like a fish tries to eat her. Like
It was. It wasn't
I
even.
No, it was not a normal fish. I don't know what it was, but it definitely tried to kill her.
But that's what I'm saying. It's more real. This book has a very realistic adaptation of if a woman fell on a fucking planet and like
Yeah,
the morality of everything and just how you would have to deal to survive. It's very much
yeah.
like, and Georgie is a very a lot of people didn't like Georgie. I'm like, I like Georgie. She wasn't
I
too
like
bad.
her. She's a badass.
She is a badass. I mean, I get that. Like, I feel like she did what she had to do, and like there was a humor to her. But I feel like at some point, it's just like you have to have some kind of humor to survive in that situation because it's just like if not, you're gonna feel fucking depressed on an ice cold fucking planet full of poison gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we don't figure out all of this information of what's happening until they do go back up the mountain and they find I think it was another spaceship that had crashed.
Yeah, it was the original spaceship that brought his people to that planet.
Right.
And they thought that it was like a an artifact, but it was just a spaceship.
It was a spaceship, and so this
Yeah, and
spaceship,
that's how she learned his language.
because for only one time, he said, "We're gonna do this one time." I was like, first of all, you're supposed to be a ship. Why can only do this one fucking time?
Right.
It's like, we can only do this one time for you. We're going to let you learn his language and tell you his history. So the ship tells the entire history, but not in a way like just in your face. It does it in a very normal way, which I like because, sometimes the exposition be expositioning.
Yeah.
But that's how she learns his language, and then that's when he starts trying to save her people. But the fact that they'll never eat human food again hurts my feelings.
Yeah. I don't know what I would have done if faced with this. Like I won't say it's an ultimatum, but it's sort of like a
It was. They
I
either
mean
had to
it
go.
kind of was an ultimatum really.
Yeah, because
But it's not an ultimatum in the traditional sense where he was like, like in the romantic sense where like if you don't do this, I'm gonna break up with you. Like it wasn't about. It's like you can choose to go and fight those other aliens, or you can stay here and we can give you the key, and like figure some shit out. So, um,
Mhm.
I I mean I probably would have stayed just because all of the other women were so weak. I'm jumping ahead a lot, but
No, you're good.
um. But yeah, at that point, he's able to explain to her, like when she learns the language, he's able to explain to her, like, the gas that's on this planet is poisonous to you, and if we don't give you a key, which is like, it's like an organ, um, and it helps process the gas that exists on that planet so that it's not poisonous to them. And, um,
Sentient being. It's a sentient organism. It's a parasite. So it's
oh, you're right, it is a parasite.
it's a
I
parasite
forgot.
sentient being. So basically, and that's also another interesting thing to see the dynamics of how they view things versus the humans, because the humans are like science. This is definitely a fucking parasite, and then the their people are like, well, this is a spiritual thing that happens, rituals and healing, and they see it as a more like witchy magical organism.
Right.
Um, which not wrong, but still. So a lot of the close proximity is like Bechtel trying to stay within his traditions. Why was he single again?
Um, I think it was more so you can only
I think it was right.
you can only like well no, I guess they could fuck, but I think that he just wanted to find the right mate.
Yeah, and it never went off with any the right with some,
And also because there aren't the numbers are not equal. There aren't the same amount of women on this planet as there are men. So there also just aren't enough women for all of them to be able to fuck.
oh. And let's talk about the process of getting this fucking parasite. You gotta bring down this big ass monster and fucking kill this fucking monster to get this parasite off. fucking monster.
Yeah, the way that I imagined it was that it was like a woolly mammoth
That's kind of where
that
I
they
was
had to kill. Because I couldn't, that was the way that I imagined it. I don't know if that's exactly how she described it, but
I
that's what I saw in my head when I was reading it. Like a
like
big ass woolly mammoth thing that they had to take
the
down.
wild boar. I thought it was like a wild boar. Like a huge wild boar, like the one for Princess Mononoke, like a big wild boar. Um, but yeah, you have to fight these, and then I think that's what like you said, it more of was like this this forced proximity, and like a lot of people were like, well, they're forcing him. I'm like, no, it was a survival thing, and that's part of it. It's like, do you want? They gave her the choice if she wanted to go off on her own to like to deal with it and fucking do what she needed to do, but it was safer to stay with him and the community because one, none of them bitches were gonna be able to take down that thing.
Right,
They barely could take down those things.
right. And I think also it's interesting because the tropes that are in this are
Mm-hmm.
very common tropes, but the way that she wrote them was very different. Like you said, like the forced proximity. Forced proximity is usually like you're stuck in a fucking hotel room with somebody and you can't leave, or you're stuck in this house with somebody and you can't leave, and there's only one bed. It's actually my favorite, but I have a lot of favorite tropes. It but in this it was like for survival. Like she could have left,
Yeah.
but she probably would have died because not only like that thing with the fish, there were so many other things on this planet that she didn't know what the fuck they were, and she could have killed herself just because, like on accident, because she thought it was food.
Right. And that's what I like about both sides. It wasn't necessarily like this is just my savior coming through. It's just like no, his people are also suffering and have to learn how to survive on this place.
Yeah,
So I love that they gave Vectel, and they do this with the male counterparts. Except a lot of people argue with the second book about it. But they did give like I love how they give the males a lot of emotional and like backstory.
yeah,
Like Vectel, he's a chief, and so he's basically like he has a duty to all his people, and he's
right,
trying to survive. And so what he's thinking about is like we've got these women up here now, so like it's gonna help. Like they're weak, and like that's the thing about he's like with Georgie, he's just like he loves her spunk, but he's like she's weak. I need to take care of her. Like it isn't necessarily like I'm the dominant man and I have to be the man of the relationship. Blah 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 blah. The dominance comes from the fact of survival. It's more of it's not like well they do say she is mine kind of stuff blah 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 blah, but like it isn't necessarily like a lot of the tropes when you get into like the animal versus like the animalistic kind of stuff where it's basically
right,
like you're gonna be an obedient woman, caveman throw over the shoulder. That's what it
right,
like because he literally does that at one point, but no, it's literally because you get in more of the depth of his mind a lot, and I love that they did that. Like they did a really
yeah,
good depth of his mind. That was really good. Um,
yeah.
but
And it's
he,
funny that you say that, like so the contrast between like the other iterations of like the dominant like male main character, because like the book that I'm currently reading is called The Ritual by Chantal Tessier,
Mhm.
and the main character in this, his name is Riot. This man is a motherfucking caveman, and there have been multiple times in one while I'm reading this book where I'm just like, I don't actually know if I'm enjoying this because
oh
he's very much like he very much will just throw her over his shoulder and like walk out
not
of a room with her. I'm just like
yeah,
it.
everything he does
I'm
is like
trying to stay for the plot so that I can get to the end, but I
yeah.
don't know if I will.
But that's what I like about Vectel. It's just like a lot of it is just like when he sees her, it's not necessarily like there's a little possessiveness in, it, but he's generally like this weak ass little bitch is running around about to get eaten by shit. I need to like get shot.
Yeah,
Shit, shit, shit.
it's genuine protection and not ownership.
Yeah, yeah. Until they have sex, and then that's a whole different story. But
Well, I mean, but even still, like it's ownership in the sense of like she's going to mother my children,
yeah.
so she is mine. Y'all better not fucking touch her. But but
Oh,
it still comes from such a genuine place of like I love her and protection and and not
Yeah.
ownership in that way. Bless you. That's how true it is.
I think that's what's so lovely about her and Vectel's relationship is because they are learning so much about each other and differences, and they're trying to collide worlds. But there's little things in there that are very cute that they learn from each other, and then you start learning the sexual differences between the two. The first thing this man does is eat her out when she wakes. Get drags her to that cave when she's passed out and eats her out.
Yeah.
And this is from her
And
point of view.
she's like, "Is this how they say hello? Like, what is
No,
happening?"
because I remember from his point of view after that, he was just like, he could like smell her or some bullshit. Like he was like,
Yeah.
but yeah. And then that scene, and then the scene where they all, and this is a reoccurring thing by the way, because they're people. So Bechtel's people are typically aren't very intimate when they have sex, like humans
Right.
are.
Because it's a means to an end.
Right. And so when she gives him a blowjob for the first time, he was so confused. That was me. I love that. I love that for Bechtel. I Bechtel.
Yeah.
I did like Bechtel. I didn't like Bechtel in the second book, but I did like Bechtel. I like Bechtel a lot in this book.
Oh, well, see, I don't want to read the second book now because I love him. I don't want to ruin it.
Oh, I'm not gonna ruin anything for you because you barely see him. So it's just a little trope that's in there that it gets solved very quickly. I promise you.
Okay.
It's not bad. I want you to read this bad because
I
Liz
know.
is, and that's a whole heavy. Liz reminds me of Lark so fucking much without the glitter.
Did you read Leather and Lark?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
It's I have to reread a lot of stuff with Leather and Lark because it's so heavy. It's so heavy that I'm like, I have to go back and read and make sure I read what I read
Yeah.
because it's so plot heavy.
Um.
It's the opposite of the Butcher and Blackbird.
Yeah, I told you. I told you it would be. Yeah. Um. I I have a couple of notes related to the beginning.
Go for it.
When he when it's I think it's this is from I don't say when this happened, but um when he sees her for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and first of all, the first time he said "queen," and mind you, I'm listening to this, so I can't see the way that anything is written. I don't know how anything is spelled. So one of the first notes that I have, I'm like, "What is a quee?" And then I spelled it like three different ways. The first way is QWEEE, and then the second way is KWEEE, and then the other one is QUI. Like, what is it? Quee? 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 Like, how do we spell this?
Before we get
And then
audiobook, how was the audiobook actor?
I really liked it. I really liked it, and
I
his voice is hot, so
I've never
that was
listened.
nice.
How the
Yeah,
act?
I highly recommend it.
Oh,
Um, I said I legitimately thought that whatever a quee was a dick because he said his started to resonate or vibrate when he first saw her, but then he went and said his cock got hard, and I was like, what is it? I was so confused for a good portion of this book because I was like, what are you talking about? What is vibrating inside of you?
keep on saying the queen. Kind of caught on. Well, that's why once you got to the ship, we were like, okay, it makes sense now. What the fuck this
Yeah.
is?
And then immediately after that happened, because he got a fucking boner, and so then he started eating her out. And I was like, oops, somnophilia right out the gate. Right out the gate. Because she was passed the fuck out.
Yep. That's a big trope when it comes to like animalistic kind of dark romance books, honestly.
The book that I'm reading right now, again, The Ritual, there's a lot of that in there. A lot.
I don't know what it is. I guess it's just like,
It's when somebody
I don't know what
does
it is.
sexual.
It
Oh,
is.
you don't know what
Pop
the.
stuff. Like, I'm into it when I have a partner. I'm like, just randomly
Yeah,
do.
I would not be into it if it was a random person.
No.
If I was, first of all, if I'm on this planet and I'm passed out and I wake up and there is a blue man in between my legs,
And she's
I'm
actually
kicking this man.
gonna...
No, because she came and then she was like, "What the fuck? No, no, no. I'm so sorry. Like that was great. That felt great, but I need to know who the fuck you are. Like what's going on? This what?
I'm listening before. Vectel is a 7-foot blue furry ass monster with a horn on his head, 3 toes. Just 3.
I mean, after I got to know him, I thought he was hot. But like off first glance, if I saw a horned man in between my legs, just I mean, to be honest, I probably would have thought I was dreaming. Like this can't be. Surely I'm not awake right now. I must be asleep.
And again, this book is already world built up to this point so much to this point that like you already kind of like she's been in survival mode already for so long
Yeah.
because of the green aliens. At this point, she's escaping and she's trying to like save the last of her friends. So she's like really doing whatever she fucking can. And like now she's meeting this blue man, and it's just like she's just doing whatever she has to like survive. And she jumped
Right.
on the very quick. That was Georgie. She was just horny, I think. Like she jumped
Yeah,
really.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think that she had said something about how she hadn't had sex in a long time prior to this. So like,
That's what that shit was, because Bethel wasn't even that interested until like he was, but he was not as horny as she was.
no.
She was just like, yeah, big guy, blah 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 blah. I'll suck your dick later if you do this. And she's like, he's not paying attention. He's just like, eh.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
There's a part where he's like, I didn't understand why she thought I would hurt her because she's my mate now. And in my head I was like, "Oh, honey, she's just a human woman." Like it doesn't matter if you're my mate. You're probably still going to hurt, which is a sad reality, but it made me laugh.
Yeah, because again, in their culture, the women trust them 100%.
Mhm.
They have their own personalities and stuff, of course, and they're not like completely obedient because they're also because I think the dynamics are that they have the hunters that go out, and then they have the village inside their little village, and then they have the women, but they have to be protected because they're so scarce.
Right.
They don't get to go out of the cave much often. So like in his mind, he's like, my women are like not getting out of the cave. Like, why do you keep on trying to escape into the wilderness? I'm just trying to protect you. She doesn't
Yeah.
understand. It's just so funny how much they insult each other before they
Yeah.
actually start communicating, but they all
Yeah.
find that attraction really quickly though.
Yeah,
It's
they have that banter.
it's so cute though. I think Kim Colin Shore,
Yeah.
she was cute when you started telling her that. That was really cute. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Did
There's a part. Sorry, what?
this one talked about the anal thing, right? How they have the thing on his penis that has the thing that because it's at the end of the book.
I remember.
So
I
also
forgot.
in anatomy, on their penises they have like an extra thing that like basically goes in your butthole, and they just threw that in at the end of the book. I was like, you guys just were like, Ruby, Ruby, Ruby. She's the whole
Ma'am.
Ruby because they decided to do doggy style
Uh,
again.
yeah. Oh, yeah, because that was his first time doing it that way.
Because again, their people aren't used to using sex like for fun.
Right.
They're using it for mating and having babies. So they're not used to using
Yeah.
it. She's just teaching them all this shit.
Yeah, and on top of the fact that they have that little anal probe thing, there's also ridges on his cock,
Yep.
and I just I need to show you the way that I wrote my note. Can you see?
Kind
Ridges on his cock?
for the AWWK.
And I was like, ridges on his cock, and then I was like, yeah, lock me up because something's wrong with me. Because immediately I was like, I'm on board with that.
I
Seems
mean,
it seems like it would be like ribbed for her pleasure, you know?
that's the whole point.
Like,
That's the whole point. I think in general, like, the whole point of it, just that he Vector was just trying to help her survive in general, and they kind of just find love against that way of survival, and they do it in a very nice romantic way that I appreciate. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of people were, of course, we talked about the Dark Lands, but Reddit were just like, it's just so weird to like have a caveman. I'm like, you didn't read the book then, honestly.
Yeah, because it's so much more than just like he finds her and then
Makes her his
they have
girlfriend.
sex. Like, yeah, it's
They didn't even have sex right
because
away.
well, right, and then also like he goes and he like commits himself to making sure that she can help her friends and
And he
you
even said
know
at the moment it was right to have sex with her too. He said that in the book.
right, and then also she tells him like I don't like if they don't want to stay here, I have to go with them, which I personally was like I would have just let them leave and I would have stayed because
He would have had to go, one, because she's the only person that speaks their language now. Two, she's the only one that goddamn thumb is up. She already knows. um and then she was the strongest one at that point. She had been fed, clothed.
yeah,
She was the only person who actually knows what's going on this planet. She would have to go with them. Half of them were already
yeah,
came back, almost dying when she
yeah,
came back.
you're right. I forgot. Some of them died when she came back, when she finally made it back to them. But I liked that even though he was like, she's my mate, like she has to come with me. He very much was not like, he wasn't just what's the word I'm looking for? He wasn't just like humoring her when he said, okay, like you can like let's go get them and you can talk to them and tell them what's going on and they
So
can decide. And he really was like, if she leaves, I'll just have to accept that kind of thing. And I just thought that was for somebody who, met his soulmate and then uh had to cope with the fact that she might leave. In all of these other dark romance books, you can't fucking leave or I'll burn the fucking world.
that was the whole point of having
Like,
Georgie
like,
had to have, and I think that's the whole point too. Because so first, when they go back to the people they're dying, they're like, we have to we have to like leave them here still, and she was freaked out
right,
about it. Back to his colony to go get people to help them,
right.
and that was the point. That was one of Georgie's stipulations. Was like, hey, even though it doesn't make sense to not fucking do it, like the girls have to consent to getting this parasite for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Like it's
And
instant.
like again, like I really like the way that she kind of flipped all of these tropes on their head.
Yeah, and he went along with it. Like you said, he respected
Hmm.
her at the end when he was telling all of the other aliens. He's like, listen, this is my mate's like law. Like, do not be coming after all these women trying to mate them, and
Hmm.
it has to be their consent. Unfortunately, one of them didn't listen, which will for the next book.
No, but it was Liz was down to clown when she saw Vector. She
Oh,
did not give a fuck that that man was an alien. She was down.
oh, Jordy,
So
I'm talking about Liz.
no, I know that's what I'm saying. Liz, when she saw Vector, when Georgie came into the little bunker that they had, Liz was like, she was like, he's hot.
I get it,
I think,
but I'm talking about how she
I
got
think,
dragged in.
yeah, but see, when I heard that, it didn't, it didn't seem like he was dragging her. Like he definitely picked her up, but she was smiling. She was down.
She was not.
So,
You're gonna have to read
uh,
the second.
okay, well, in the
Culture.
audiobook, it seemed like she was
Mm-hmm.
here for it.
So in the second book, they really hone in on that the dynamics of relationships and what happens. Like they really get into their culture more, like Bechtel's culture
Hmm.
a lot. So the second one's definitely a good reach for that one. And again, this audiobook is only 5 hours. It wasn't very long. Um, you can get this book. You can book in a day. To be honest, it's a very short read.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, very short read, but for a short read, like I said, it builds an entire world that's crazy, and they go very well into describing what's going on. Um, all in all, like I really enjoyed this book,
Yeah,
and
me too.
you just have to understand that like it's going to be a short book. It's a good spicy read to knock out the way, and again, we will say this a million times, I think, because I feel like I don't think any of our watchers and listeners would care, but just in case people read this late or watch this, later down the road. Some of these books you guys have got to realize with dark romances, like they're written for a specific comedic purpose, and there's certain things that are written certain ways, um, for the entertainment value.
Hmm. But
You
it's also, well, say what you're gonna say and then I'll add what I have to say.
well, and you can't have certain parts and like if we focused on the morality of this entire book the entire time, it would have been a depressing ass book because there's a lot of existential crisis you can have during this book, to be honest. But they do
Yeah,
a good balance of like comedy and bringing that out and bringing it back to light, bringing it back. But there is a lot of dark, heavy themes in this book for survival,
yeah.
for sure. That's it.
Um, I forgot what I was going to say.
So sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's my brain's fault. Um, there was a part though where when the women were finally traveling back with them and she had already explained everything to them, it was especially at that point because at that point many of them were very sick and were like on death's door at that point,
Right.
and they were still like complaining about everything, and I'm like, yo, like you literally at this point don't have a choice. Like you're either gonna die here or you're gonna die when those aliens come back to the other aliens come back because they're gonna kill you.
They're gonna kill you because you're not
Like
the commodity anymore. You're not.
right, because and that's the other thing. So the aliens that abducted them wanted to use them as like incubators for things and wanted to and if they were sick, like I think one of the girls that they ended up killing had cancer or something, and so they killed her. Or she was pregnant, and so they killed her. Like y'all are sick, so when they get back, they're gonna kill you because you're not good anymore.
Yeah.
And so at this point, it's very much like, okay, well, at this point, what choice do you have? And it was really pissing me off that they were giving Bechtel and his people and Georgie so much grief about it because it's like, one, you don't really have a choice at this point, and they've done so much already to help you and to make sure that you're safe and
Or
to
in a
accommodate what the fuck is happening.
They gave them resources that they didn't. Well, they had resources they
Yeah,
had, and for them, like you don't realize this planet is not like I said earlier. This planet is not only a pain in the ass to the humans; it's a pain in the ass to Vectel's people
for
too.
them. Yeah,
Going out and hunting and doing shit and getting all these resources is not an easy feat for them. It's just it's easier, obviously, because they're fucking 7 foot tall and know how to make weapons and shit. But this is not a ideal planet for them either. They've evolved on this
right.
planet so long, so like it giving them their resources when they have to use this for their women they already have for their people to bring in another species into their place and to take care of another species that they don't even know or trust is
Right.
a like these like yes it could have went bad but it's like these aliens literally are giving you their resources bringing you to safety saving you and like they barely have the resources themselves right now because they have to hunt at a certain time too.
Yeah. And it's also like on the flip side of that, it's very interesting because for the aliens, it was very easy for them to just kind of accept the fact that some of these women were their soulmates because when they brought the other male aliens to that bunker that the humans were in, a bunch of them also started to resonate.
Already
And
before the parasite hit.
right,
Well,
and that was something that I thought was so interesting. I was like, can you imagine living your whole life? I mean, even us, like in your romantic life, the ideal thing is to be able to find your soulmate. What if your soulmate is a fucking alien? Like,
I'm a,
you just live your whole motherfucking life hoping that you find your fucking soulmate, and that motherfucker lives on Mars.
I
Can
think
you imagine? Like,
I've been saying that shit for
that's
years.
just crazy.
I've been literally years. First of all, I wouldn't doubt that my soulmate's an alien. To be honest.
Honestly, same.
Yeah, but no. Overall, so what made you feral about this book?
Um,
Besides Bexel.
that was really my answer. I honestly like the levity that Ruby Dixon was able to like pepper into it, and like the comedy, because there's a part where, so after they had sex, like obviously they didn't use a condom, and she was like, "Oh, well, we're not the same species. I can't get pregnant." And I was like, I was like, "Girl, why would we assume this?" Like, I understand like why, but I think my thing would be like, just assume that the worst can happen, and not to say that that is the worst, because worse things happen on this planet. But like, and
Georgie is
then
insanely smart. She's brave. That's Georgie's thing. Georgie is brave, and that's why she's the leader. Because she was brave,
yeah,
not because she was
but
smart.
then, but then the thing that got me was like, not even the fact that she thought she couldn't get pregnant. It's not that she's the only one that he can impregnate, because when you find your soulmate, that is the only person that you can impregnate and procreate with. That's crazy. So
It
she
is.
went from thinking like, "Oh, I'm not gonna get pregnant. It's fine." Immediately pregnant. Immediately pregnant.
Yeah. And we know this because Bechtel does, like he had an ex that he was like with, and they didn't click it
Yeah.
off because
Yeah. And I think that's also why he's single, because he wanted to have a family, and have he can't have children with just anybody.
yeah.
Um,
And again, the whole village is on his shoulders,
yeah.
on his shoulders. So a lot of the decisions he has to make are is supposed to be for his people, but at the same time, it's that's what makes it so romantic. Is like he's not sacrificing everything for his people, but he's like, these are my people. I love my people. I'm gonna figure out a way for this five. But now I love this woman, and I'm going to make it work no matter what. To like
Yeah.
side with.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like if he had been given the opportunity, like if they had been able to make it work, he probably would have left that planet for her.
Would have 100%. I don't.
Like
I don't.
if they were able to make him human,
I don't think he would.
and I
I don't
think
think.
he would have left.
I don't think he could have left his people.
I think he would have left for her.
I
If
don't
he
think.
was able to like leave the the
I think he would try to
the
bring him.
tribe in good hands, like with his second hand or whatever, if they were able to go back and forth,
I
I
think he would
think
take.
he would have left.
I think he would have tried to take everybody with him. Because that's just how he rolls. I think.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean that too, but I think he would have been willing to, I like to just leave, like in general, whether or not he's able to take them or not. Like I think he would have been okay with that as long as he got to be with her. But my the last note that I put in this was, and I think it speaks to what makes me feral. Um, if I want to go to this planet, although although I'd have to get cool with being a parent really fast, because it seems like that's literally the point of their existence, and I don't like that. But I'm
I don't.
cool with everything else,
You
because
think
I don't have fallopian tubes. I don't want to be a parent. No thanks. It's not for me. So
they do
I
cover?
wonder
By the way, they do
what
cover books. By the way,
women that can't have babies. I was just about to say, I wonder how that would work, because if I literally can't, like, the tubes do, like, okay, for me, I don't have fallopian tubes, right? But like if I were to do IVF, I can still cook a baby. I just can't have one the natural way. Yes, cook a baby, because
is
it's a bun in the oven. You cook it. I guess you bake it, but
that what they meant by
um
microwave?
what?
Talk from WAP. Hotter than a baby in a microwave. That's what they say in the song. WAP. Am I wrong? I do it because it's hotter than my baby in a microwave.
What song is that from?
Walk by
No,
J-Dash.
it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I thought you're not talking about the Cardi B version. That's
No.
what
E.
I don't. I immediately thought you were talking about the Cardi B version, and I was like,
No, I was talking
when
about
does she say that?
a man.
uh, that's crazy. You just like short circuited my brain just now.
Good at that. Anyways,
Um, yeah,
making
but okay, so um, no, I was saying I wonder how they would handle women who are
they cover it.
infertile.
They cover it. They do. They cover it. It's
In
in the
book
way.
two,
No,
there's so
because
many books in this universe.
there's 17.
Yeah, that's a lot. Although Rena Kent has Ruby Dixon beat.
Well,
Rena
these are
Kent has like 30 plus books in her series.
they have a
This
vacation. They have a Christmas
what?
book. A
Oh
Christmas
my
book.
God.
Planet Barbarians.
What the fuck? Okay, what made you feral about this book?
What made me feral was the sex scenes were actually pretty fun. I liked it. I liked the sex scenes were pretty fun. I really enjoyed that. Like, I have one of them pulled up. Like this, it's pretty. I like it. It's the scene I have up is the initial oral. Oh, because there it is. He had bumps and ridges on his tongue too.
Oh, wait a minute. I have something for this. I wrote a note for this. I forgot about that. This is a feral thought that I had while I was reading it. Um,
I mean,
find it. Oh, this I'm reading it as I wrote it. Is there a tongue sleeve of some kind that mimics the ridges on this man's tongue? I'm
absolutely.
asking for scientific purposes.
Probably they have something for everything. They make dildos that hatch eggs. They can probably.
I'm so sorry. What? I beg your finest pardon?
It's like a alien. It's like there's different alien parts, and you can like. They have this thing where it's an egg, and it like hatches into your body. It's like a
No. No. What?
slime eggs, and it goes in the dildo, and like some of them have like timers and stuff where you can like it'll
Yeah.
imprint the eggs, and they're just sex
And
eggs.
so then the egg gets inserted into the vagina?
Yeah, they're slime
And
eggs, so
then
they come out. They're slime eggs.
well, yeah, I figured that, but
So they just kind of fall out. Yeah, but like
so that you can pretend to give birth to an egg?
no, so you can have the feeling of being impregnated by an alien.
I I want to, like I don't want to experience this, but I want to see how this works.
I will send you a
Like
video. I promise.
I don't kn-
When we mess each other after this,
my
I'll send.
porn algorithm is gonna get all weird.
I'm so. I'm sorry.
Um no, but like because I knew that there were dildos that like
No, these shoot
have
eggs.
stuff in them so that you can like like for like people who don't have dicks can pretend to have dicks that have cum.
Yeah.
So I knew that that was a thing, but I
Nope.
did not know about the eggs.
Mhm. Yeah. No. Another thing that made me feral was definitely Vecta was one of my Vectel was definitely what made me feral about that book because Vectel, like, I don't know, I like the idea of the strong silent protector type. I do like that. I like that type, that trope. Like he did it. It was just done in such a nice way that like didn't make it patronizing.
Yeah, I agree.
He was really concerned about her well-being and keeping her alive. more than, obviously he was like getting attracted to her and shit, but like his main focus was not like, I'm gonna pound this girl and make my babies. It was, I need Georgie to survive. Like this little frail, weak, and it's funny. Like I said, one of the things that's funny to me is the fact that they're like insulting each other's physical appearance this entire time. He's like, oh, weak, frail body.
Yeah.
He hated her fingers. That's the main thing. I was like, he hated her hands when he first saw them. I'm like, valid. But yeah, that's what made me feral about this book.
Yeah.
So what would you rate?
I really liked it. Out of 5 or out of 10?
We'll do out of 10 for this one because we did 10 out of the other one.
Yeah. But like usually when I'm rating books on apps, it's out of 5, so I have to adjust. I'd say 7.
7.
Yeah.
I would say 7. I think if
Yeah.
like a longer book and they really got into it, they could have really got into it. Like, I kind of want to read more Ruby Dixon books now because like I got a lot of recommendations about her, like fantasy series. I want to hit one of her fantasy series. If her world building is that, and this is like the least world building one, I definitely want to
Right.
give them.
Yeah.
So we're wrapping up that.
Okay.
So the movie we
Ready to
showed.
talk about species?
Yes. Before we get into species, we kind of need to go over the controversial opinion about sci-fi movies that are horror. So sci-fi movies can be horror movies, despite some controversial opinions. The
And
definition.
it's crazy that you say that because I'm not privy to this idea because, like I was saying before, like sci-fi sci-fi horror is a subgenre of horror, but also sci-fi, like, not obviously not all sci-fi movies are horror, but they definitely can be because that shit is creepy. Like a lot of the time.
Well, so it says sci-fi movies can be horror movies when they effectively evoke fear and dread, often by exploring themes of isolation, unknown threats, and the potential dangers of technology and scientific advancement. And the definition of horror, I believe, is anything that invokes dread, fear, or repugnance. That's the third one people forget all the time. It's like if the movie like invokes feelings of repugnance, a lot of the times it could be horror as well. So both sci-fi movies, horror movies, basically it kind of delves into like humanity's relationship with the unknown. So like that's also why I didn't understand people like you're discrediting aliens, but you're not, like, aliens are pretty much just scientific versions of monsters.
Right.
That's
And
all
I
it is.
mean, to be honest, most monsters are scientific because, like, Frankenstein was a fucking science experiment. A vampire is a science experiment because it's a humanoid being.
Yeah, that was done through a ritual. So I mean,
Right.
um, horror at its core is about fear. Sci-fi often delves into fear of the future, and
Yeah.
the unknown consequences, and that so does horror. The difference is with science, it's like the ending of humanity and where we're gonna go, versus horror, which is like the ending of individual humanity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sci-fi, like us as a planet, how we're gonna die eventually, and blah blah blah. What's gonna happen to us humanity wise, and then horror movies are just like what's gonna happen to us in the afterlife. That fear of the unknown. So they kind of share that kind of same process too.
Yeah.
And the idea that like space is isolating and unsettling, and it's just like, I don't know. It also raises like the same questions of like moral integrity and implications of what, because if you're gonna go with like paranormal, you can talk about like the moral implications of rituals, and a lot of the times paranormal kind of delves into the human psyche of with possession and how the mentality
Mm.
works. And I don't think those themes differ that much from sci-fi with testing the human limits and how our psyche is with the fear of the unknown and technology and how far it goes. And again, these fuckers they're monsters. They're just different kinds of monsters.
Right.
I think that Oh, somebody actually said Frankenstein, a foundational work of both science fiction and horror, exploring the moral implications of scientific ambition. It both delve into the human psyche of what would we do. That's I think kind of like in horror and his. What would we do in this terrifying situation where we're given power or having power taken away from us? So
Yeah, that makes sense.
I kind of like that with that. I'm like, just on a definition basis, sci-fi is definitely a subgenre of horror. If you want to get nitty gritty of things, it's like horror movies have what? They have gore. So do horror movies or sci-fi. They have gore. They have murder. They have creepy and repugnant things in them. Very repugnant things, especially this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And this one, this girl,
Alien.
She was an alien murderer. Like this movie, it explored the sci-fi topic of what man has created, but at the same time, this woman was a smart ass woman, like alien, who developed morality and thought, and went on a murdering tangent. She was a serial killer. She's a murderer.
Yeah, she truly was.
That's a horror concept in itself.
And honestly, she kind of gives off succubus vibes if you put it on paper.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That's all she was technically. I mean, she was a lizard, but a lizard, a giant lizard. But yeah. So plot of Species. Plot of Species is basically scientists find DNA of this aliens, harvest it, keep it. They basically create a genetic being for it to help her grow in this lab. She escapes, of course, because they were going to terminate her originally. Why were they going to terminate her originally?
I think because they realized that she was too volatile.
And she could dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was becoming too sentient. It was like she was becoming too volatile.
Yeah. And she was progressing too quickly for them to be able to control her. Like, I think that they were afraid that she was going to get too hard to like manage.
Pretty much.
To say,
but so she escapes. Now, when she does escape, she is a teenage girl. And from there, she grows rapidly, and she is ready to biologically mate, and that's where our story is beginning, really.
Right, and like, so when I watched it, this was my first time watching it. This movie came out, I believe, in 1995. But this was my first time watching it, and because I didn't always love horror movies. I grew to love horror movies probably in my like very early young adulthood. And so alien movies were not something that I was into when I was younger because they scared me.
Yeah.
But so when I went to watch this, I think I watched it on Tubi, and the description for this movie said that she was a seductive young girl. And I was like, okay. And then I watched it, and for like the first 25 minutes of this movie, she's 14. And I'm like, why did y'all describe this 14-year-old as seductive? Like, I have a problem with this. And then she ate that train conductor and became a woman. I was like, oh.
That's where I'm just like, okay, that started as horror for me. She's in that nasty ass chrysalisk.
Bruh, that shit was disgusting.
That was not like Alien versus Predator chrysalisk. That was gory, bloody, cloddy.
Yeah, it was fucking gross. Yeah.
Thing, and I was like, okay, see, this is where you're saying this shit's horror, because you can't sit there and look at this bitch busting out of that chrysalix, lights flashing on and off, and tell me this that and her murdering that train conductor was anything but a horror scene. You can't convince me.
You want to know what else was really disturbing about that part? Well, it wasn't. It was right before this happened, but the way that she was eating that banana after she stole all of that food, she was eating a banana, and she was eating that shit like a fucking like. She was eating it the long way, and she didn't peel it. She bit straight through the peel, and she was eating it like this. I was like, I literally wrote, I'm already disturbed because of the way she's eating this fucking banana.
An alien. Oh, what got me? So the one note I had at the beginning was the fucking slow motion run. Bursting out of there. Because not only they didn't. So the editing was pretty. It was for a sci-fi movie from the 1995s. It wasn't that bad as far as quality goes. But I will say there was one scene where they had the slow mo at the beginning, and they didn't
Yeah.
edit it. They didn't edit it farther back when they're watching the video of her doing it. They didn't edit it, so she's running in slow motion in the video too that they're watching.
Oh my god.
And then they're like, and then she's having such a hard time running away from them, and then she finally runs away, and they're like, "We will never catch her. She's so fast." I'm like, "You almost did several times. She wasn't that fast."
Literally almost did. And
um,
also, when that lady, so before she ate that lady, when the woman walked in there, and it's important for me to note that this was a black woman. She walked into that bathroom and she looked at it and she stared at that shit for mad long. And I said, now why didn't that black lady turn around and leave? What, like, girl, you know better than this. Why
and
are
the
you just staring at it?
hey, in the honestly in the '90s, like that trope really wasn't a huge thing yet.
She just stared at it and then she got eaten.
That really wasn't a trope yet. Like the whole like black people like in movies hadn't been a trope yet. Like
Oh,
they
for real? No, but I just felt like that's intrinsically a black thing. If you see something like that, you're gonna fucking leave.
would think so, but again, I'm telling you, like if you go back and watch a lot of the horror movies from the '90s, even Anaconda, I was like, boy, Ice Cube, you know better than that.
You know, I've never seen Anaconda.
Yeah, watch it now. We'll find a jungle dark
As
romance.
long as there's no giant frogs in it, I will watch it.
No, there's just a giant snake.
That's fine. I like snakes.
Okay,
Do
that
not
works.
ask me why I like snakes and not frogs. I don't understand.
It's okay. Um, so yeah, I don't understand that either. And then she escapes, and then she's rapidly ages to her adult form. So nobody knows who she is, mind you, because all of the scientists have only seen her in her child form. So she manages to get away. Um, I found it funny that like her reaction to the porn on the TV was hilarious.
Yeah. Um, was it the man in the hotel room that was in the hotel thing that was watching the porn?
No, she was. She went back into the room to watch TV. She was clicking through the channels, and it was like a porn that came.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Like, you just see a close face going. Like, she was like, hey, that's what I look like when I watch porn too. As someone reading through this, I was like, you know what? I identify with you, girl. I'm ovulating right now. I feel the same way. All I want to do is fuck. It's fine. I get it. I get you. I get you. But yeah, and then she goes to. This is another thing. I'm like, it's definitely horror. Is when she goes to. Then she goes to a nightclub recommended by the inn, the hotel desk clerk. So because she just goes, I need to find a man, and he's like, go to that club right there.
Yeah.
I'm
You
glad.
know, and
I'm glad it went in that direction.
that
He would try to sleep with her.
right, so that was just about to bring that up because I was like, I'm really surprised after she became like an adult at how infrequently men were like assaulting her or like hitting on her because like not obviously not that I want that to happen, but like I'm so used to that being a thing. And I was like, oh, that's nice. They're just letting her exist as a beautiful woman. And then but then immediately after I said that, somebody tried to rape her. So I was like, oh.
Well, apparently, if you have diabetes, you're not fit to breathe. Yeah, no, for sure. So she goes in the club and kills that girl because she's sexual competition.
Right.
That was a brutal fucking scene. Her murdering her in the
Yeah, it
bathroom.
really was. Yeah, that was.
I mean, I've beat some bitches up in a bathroom before. I would have never went that far. Jesus, not over no.
Over a man?
I wasn't even hot.
He really wasn't.
Wasn't enough. So then we meet Robbie, who is the guy that attempts to rape her. When we say this again, we probably should have said that trigger warning. I think we did in trigger warning, but he doesn't actually do it. She goes back to his house, which is really nice. I want to know what the fuck Robbie does, but I don't want to know. He basically was like, I'm gonna go take a shower. You can join me, or you can take one later. Finger guns, and then goes to take a shower.
Not you triggering me with the finger gun.
So he gets in the shower, and then she's like, he tells her basically it goes all. She's interested until she starts, I guess, sniffing him and realizing something's wrong with him. And then she's like, this isn't right. And then he wants to have sex with her. He's like, you know what you came. Then we learned that he had diabetes, so she's just killing off people that don't fit her mold.
Which I feel like, I mean, on the one hand, she definitely didn't need to kill him. She could have just like knocked him out and left.
Killed him. He's
But
rapist.
also, he definitely tried to rape her like very aggressively.
Yeah.
So yeah, like he kind of got what was coming to him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot to mention. So she's running rampant trying to find some dick, and then sorry, Mr. Xavier, the scientist on this mission, hired a team.
You said Professor Xavier. His name is Fitch in this. And I only remember that because I wrote Fitch is a bad man.
His name is Xavier Fitch. That's his whole
Oh,
name.
shut up, it is?
It is. He's Xavier Fitch. And I think he's in a Marvel movie. I don't know which one, but he's in a...
He plays Professor Xavier, that's why I said that.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's funny.
Off of that, and I'm on medication, leave me alone.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yes, so we have Ben Kingsley as Fitch. We have Michael Madsen as Preston Lennox, and he's from Kill Bill. He's Bill's brother. Alfred Molina as Dr. Stevens Arden. You got Mrs. Dr. Laura Baker. And then you have Forrest Whitaker as Dan Smithson. So now, I did like how they humbled Dan sometimes with his powers. Like that moment, like the moment when he was like, there was a moment in there where he was like, something bad happened here. And the guy's like, obviously something fucking bad happened here. There's blood everywhere.
I have to correct myself. I was wrong. It's not Ben Kingsley. It was Patrick Stewart plays Professor Xavier, so I was wrong.
You are, but I didn't want to correct you.
I mean, no, hold me accountable, bitch.
I can't right now. I told you, I'm maybe at 60% today.
Okay. Well, I hold myself accountable. I'm sorry for all of the people that I just caused pain with that.
Yeah,
for being loud and wrong. Fine.
Forrest Whitaker. Now, his powers aggravated the shit out of me through that thing, because there were so many people sometimes do that, and it's like...
Yeah.
So Forrest Whitaker's role in this is Dan. He's supposed to be like an empath, but he's kind of psychic empath at the same time. Kind of feel, I think, is the whole... He says he's an empath, but he feels energy. Now, at the beginning, in the beginning of when he introduced, and several times, he feels the energy of how someone's felt while watching them on TV.
Right.
How the fuck did that work? I mean, I guess you can argue that, like, TV aura waves and shit like that, like when you can't capture auras on camera and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could maybe that's the case, but I'm like, his powers really just kind of wonkified through that entire thing. Like, he could feel people's emotions and energies, but he's like, there was one point at the beginning when he's introduced, he's like, yeah, somebody's at the door. I'm like, that's psychic. That's not unless you kind of like, I guess.
Yeah. I remember that. I'm like, that's not empathy. That's just like
maybe the energy of the person coming down the way, their emotions coming down the way.
Yeah, maybe.
Because Preston is a very like emotional man, a non-emotional, emotional cowboy. So I guess you could kind of feel his like presence. But he could also tell like when stuff like. I guess he can kind of I don't know if he could just put two and two together, or he can kind of just tell that, like, because there was a scene where he was just like, yeah, she was hurt, and he tried to hurt her, and I'm like, how? Your powers just confuse the shit out.
I think it was when she killed that dude.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. But I'm just like, I don't know, just the way his powers worked was interesting to say the least. It was a nice character, and I enjoyed it, and I did really like the dynamics between the team. It just was kind of useless to
Yeah.
have that. To be honest, why did we have that whole team?
Well, it I agree because I don't like.
What did Preston do?
What were they to do once they found her? Like,
Killer.
I
The
mean,
whole.
obviously we see that, but like, she definitely was way stronger. So like, what were they supposed to do? They were just regular ass people.
I'm guessing Preston was a hitman. He was sent to kill things that he couldn't be killed. He didn't do much special work to kill her.
He didn't. And he also almost died, so.
And through the entire thing, he really just was on Laura's ass the entire time.
And
He didn't,
was.
and he really didn't do any hunting work. I don't remember the second movie, so it could be different. But like, I don't know. I just felt like that whole team, like Dan makes sense. Having Dan on the team makes sense. The whole point of
Yeah,
the whole point of the movie is too is they're trying to like with making these beings, they're also trying to understand their mentality and psyche, so that way that when they do go out in the real world and they've like learned from them and do certain things and start using them, that way they understand and can control their emotions when they are born. They need to understand the psyche of how these things work and their behavior so that they don't go out of control.
right.
Um, that's why they told. So that makes sense to hire him. The rest, I don't know what the fuck they were doing there. Laura
Yeah.
worked at a lab, so that made sense because she was able to like fix the equipment and stuff. She made sense. I just don't understand what Preston was doing there. Comedic relief, I guess.
And there was one other person.
Arden, the one that actually got impregnated her. He was the one that. Okay, so one of the kills that really pissed me off in the movie was the lady. She had no reason to kill that lady. That lady didn't do shit to her.
Right, because that lady helped her.
Yeah, so for the spoiler, I already should have said this at the beginning, but whatever. Spoilers for the movie. So Syl, our alien goddess, she just kidnaps this woman. Takes over her house, ties her up, then cuts off her fucking
Ties her
finger.
up to the bed too. I don't understand what that was about.
I think what they were trying to go for was the fact that like she had already kind of felt the emotions and seen that like they were actively trying to kill her now, even though they created her, and because she had dyed her hair at that point too. No, she hadn't dyed her hair at that point. She had it, um, but she had just gotten back from Robbie's house and all that stuff. She was listening to them talk and stuff. I think she knew these people created her and that like they were trying to eliminate her and kill her, and they were stalking her down. And she's just like, humans only want to kill me anyway. So you're gonna, because she said it to the lady. She's like, I'm not gonna hurt you, but she will.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking she just thinks that all of humanity wants to murder her.
Which
Fair.
isn't far off.
Oh, and then she kills a really nice guy that like that's the only kill I was like, she raped a guy in that movie.
Oh, she did! She did! In the
She
hot
did
tub!
in the hot tub. This man who saved her from the hospital. They killed a good man, Savannah. Why'd they kill that man? I get why they did it, but I'm like, why did she have to? He was a nice guy, had a nice job, took pictures of her, like really kind of liked her, and then he's just like, no, I don't want to fuck you. Like, slow down, chill. I just want to go answer the door. Chill. I don't want to do that. And she's like, bam. I mean, you're gonna suck
Yeah,
me
that
off,
was crazy.
and then kills him. He's the only one he didn't. Yeah, she just went off the hinges at that point because neither
Yeah,
of
at that point she was just going
those two didn't deserve to
off the
die.
rail.
Those two.
There was a point though where I was like, good for her, because it was before this, but um like she was held captive her whole entire life, and then she escaped to whoever was gonna kill her, and now she's trying to prosper. Like, because this was before I realized like what she was doing, like what the point was, where before she realized what was driving her. Because there was a point where she also didn't realize exactly what it was that was driving her until she realized that it was like men, like she needed to mate.
Yeah,
And and I just was like, all right, keep them on their toes, don't let them catch you. And I loved that she was able to do that without knowing anything about being a human. And
I
I
think
thought
that's,
that was really cool. But then she started murdering everybody, so I was like,
but I think that's also a reflection of humanity at that point because she was learning. She wasn't learning murder, but learning the emotions that come from other people. And
yeah,
after the thing that happened with Robbie, I think that's why I went down south. Is because it's like she's like, okay, like, yeah, this isn't as fun as I thought it was.
right.
Her listening in to Preston and Laura having sex was wild. Wild. This bitch says, "Let me get that brown haircut, that brown little wolf cut. I'll go listen to my ass and to some people having sex."
Yeah,
But I will say I did like that sex scene. It was funny. It was very
yeah,
real. It was more real. It was very
yeah.
like.
I feel bad for the guy that impregnated her though, because he was just like, oh, I finally get to get laid. Like he was so excited to have sex, and then he died.
Nope. And then she's like, I don't know how he didn't pick up on that was her.
Me either.
You're this hot
I
girl that shows
don't.
out of nowhere, and you guys. It's the same thing we were talking about last episode with fucking Rowan and Sloane just searching for a serial killer and doing stupid shit while they're doing it. It's like you guys are searching for an alien.
Yeah.
You guys haven't caught her yet. I would like if you guys had done this when you knew she was completely dead, then yeah. Well, I think they thought that she was dead at that point.
They thought she was dead, but still,
No, I wouldn't wait
I
till
don't
it's.
know.
I'd wait till I get before I touch
Like
anybody.
the fucking autopsy or something.
Yeah.
So you know for real that she's dead.
Oh,
Oh, but you know what? She did do that thing with that lady's finger because she cut that lady's finger off.
yes. So she cut. So if you haven't watched the movie, she cuts this lady's finger off and cuts her own. So basically, that they find her DNA. I don't know why did she cut her finger off? Because she cut her finger off so that they would have.
So she put that woman in the car and then drove it somewhere so that it would explode. And so when they found her body, it wouldn't have a thumb on it. And then she I don't know why she cut her own finger off.
No, she cut her own finger off. Because whenever they grabbed it, they're like, "Oh, it is her because that's her DNA, her own finger." That's why she cut. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why she cut the
Oh, so
lady's.
I don't know why. I don't know.
I think she was just being malicious.
Or maybe again, maybe because then they could see like, oh, her thumb was missing on this hand, so this has to be her thumb,
Gotcha. That makes sense.
or this has to be her body because here's the thumb.
Gotcha. That makes sense. But that still didn't even happen.
But yeah, that's still kind of flimsy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I get the whole movie is survival at that point. Like that's a
Yeah,
theme. But it was wild. It was, and then she's just like immediately pregnant. She's like, "I'm immediately pregnant." Kills him. I'm like, you couldn't keep your mate. You just gotta kill him.
right.
I guess it's
Well,
like
and then after they realize what happened after he dies, and they realize what happened, then they chase her into like the sewers or whatever the fuck. And then she's like a fucking full-blown monster. Like she's not even a humanoid anymore. She's
well,
just that creepy thing.
she kept on having dreams about that thing. So I think that was like,
Yeah,
I think it was just kind of the evolution of everything once you mate and everything else.
yeah,
But like to attract what she was around, she had to stay in the humanoid form.
yeah,
So yeah, that was a terrifying fucking form. Looking like something out of Dragon Ball Z AI. Like AI made a Dragon Ball Z character. That's exactly what that shit looked like.
right.
And then she has the baby. And poor little Dan is like, "Don't be scared, baby. It's okay, you look like a normal child, even though you're not a baby now, you're like a toddler." And the toddler just whips out and goes. I always laugh at that part, and I always forget that I always laugh at that part. And I shouldn't. But I'm just like, what the fuck did you expect?
Right,
It's an alien baby that you just met, and you gonna think it's just gonna come to you and be like, "Goo goo gaga, no."
right.
It just ate a fucking rat. It just swallowed down a rat. And then the ending for that, the rat turning into a fucking one of them was ridiculous.
Yeah,
That was funny. I guess because the DNA pretty much. I think that's the whole point. Is like too. We forgot to mention was the fact that like it was created from the DNA that they found from the aliens. So it's not like I think that's part of why she was human too is because they specifically. I remember they said they had two of them they froze, and then one of them they sterilized and made it did something too. I can't remember what it is. So there's 2 more still frozen at the lab if they didn't burn it down completely.
Oh, so that's why there's 2 more movies.
Probably.
Because
I
I
don't
saw that there's a third one.
remember. Yeah, yeah. I'm still bothered by the fact that they kept that slow motion in the and they're watching back what happened in the lab. They're like, she's still running in slow motion, and I'm like, y'all could have edited.
Yeah,
Why?
I remember thinking like, why is she also in slow motion? Like,
I don't know.
okay,
Cinematics.
it was the
Yeah,
90s.
I guess it was just an interesting fucking. The whole premise of the whole movie is just the fact that like she was created by these. She technically was created by these people. They took the Nine and she was created, and then
Yeah,
side of their means and try to, but she couldn't fight her own animalistic urges and needs in her basic DNA. And I don't know, it's just like the things we talked about earlier, like the whole idea of the monster coming back and killing what you created.
yeah.
Like that's a very scary thing to deal with on its own when you recreate something
Mhm.
that you don't. Oh, and then let's talk about Mr. Fitch trying to fucking blow the 2 Flora and fucking Preston up in the lab.
Yes,
All you had to do was
yes.
open the goddamn door.
He was like, I can't. Yeah, you can, bro.
Open the goddamn
Open the
door.
motherfucking door, bro. That was when I wrote Fitch is a bad man because, like, why the fuck? Like, you were so okay with these people just dying?
Apparent fucking Lee. He was just. I get he's like protocol, protocol, protocol. Like
Bitch, fuck a protocol.
I think that's the whole point of bringing him in was just being like the whole like he was. Oh, he was in Iron Man 3. Not
Yes.
um and in Gandhi. How did I not fucking remember he was playing
Oh,
Gandhi?
I remember him from Gandhi.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But yeah, he kind of represents like the government and like what's wrong with it and like not attuning to humanity. Um, so it was definitely a interesting movie to begin with.
Hmm. Definitely very 90s, that movie was. It was very 90s with the
What's
graphics and
that dress she gets from the store? The wedding dress? Was that a wedding dress or was it just a dress?
it was a fucking wedding dress. I remember I was like, I'm like, that lady just let her walk out with a fucking wedding dress? Like, what?
Hey,
I mean, yeah, but like, girl, where are you?
I think
Whatever.
she'll order bride. That's what I was thinking. That's what I think she thought because you gotta remember they also said at the beginning when she escaped because they weren't in LA when they started. She escaped to LA.
Yeah.
And they're like, LA is the place where like you can do pretty much anything and not bat an eye.
Yeah, I guess.
That was the whole premise, I think. It's also why she wasn't bothered because like the idea that like during that time it was Hollywood. That was you got to think about that time. That was like rock star Hollywood fame 90s. Like
Yeah.
it was a different time. It was a different time. That's the whole point. Like the whole it was Species was in a different time.
Yeah.
What made you feel about this movie?
I think just that hot, like I said, that hot minute where it was really just like about her own survival and like seeing the way that she was able to like, I don't want to say prosper, but like keep herself afloat by
Yeah,
like because there was a point where she was literally always like a step ahead of them. And I mean she was that way for most of the movie, but like in this like before she really started like just outright murdering people. Like she was just like the way that she finessed that hotel room, like she was I was like, okay, girl, like good for you. Like you really know what the fuck you're doing. And I just thought that was really awesome because she knew nothing about being a human. She'd literally been like in a fucking cage her whole life.
yeah. She just had to. She's very intelligent for sure. She just had to pick up on what she
Hmm.
did. I think that's why they did the TV scene too. Was to show kind of like her picking up on I wish there was a different trope for that, but like 95% of the time when you have like an alien on Earth, it's always on the TV for the
Yeah.
internet. But I mean, there's not really other ways to just go about that.
Yeah,
So
like how can you learn
anything else?
humanity not that way?
Yeah, I mean, unless it's like you gotta do some media some way.
Right.
Yeah, when I was a kid because my parents definitely did not communicate with each other, and my dad didn't give a shit. So I remember seeing that. I was 4 when this movie came out. I remember seeing it in theaters. No, I didn't see this one. I lied. It wasn't Species that I saw. I think I saw the astronaut's wife, which is even more. Why are you looking at me like
I've never heard of that.
the astronaut's wife?
The astronaut's wife?
Yeah.
It sounds like it would be sad. Is it sad or is it a horror movie?
Um. Hold on. It's an older movie. Shit. Hold on. There's Johnny Depp in it and Charlize Theron.
This was 1999.
I can't remember if it's. Yeah.
This was the prime of Johnny Depp. Well, I wouldn't say prime, but
Yeah. It's a science fiction,
okay.
but it has very similar connotation and feel for sure. Um,
Hmm.
it's a whole weird thing. But yeah, I remember seeing Species when I was younger. For sure. Not supposed to be watching it. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I just it's
I mean, I saw Rocky Horror Picture Show for the first time when I was in third grade, so.
I mean that's crazy. Um my first horror was Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I've never seen that, and I really want to watch it, but I really don't like clowns. So, I know. I saw it. I just, I really don't like clowns, so I'm really like, I don't think that it's going to scare me because I know, like, just off rip that it's very campy.
I
But,
date them.
like, what?
Did I date them? I might as well like them.
No.
Did I say that out loud?
Not anymore. No mas.
No moss. Well, definitely no moss now. Fuck. Spring is in the air, birds and bees, guys. Just ovulations. We gotta go find that fucking that blue alien penis now at this point, because I'm telling you.
Yeah.
All right, what would you rate this?
I 6.5.
I think that's fair. 6.5 out of 10. I think
Yeah.
that's fair.
Because it
It's not-
wasn't bad, but there were definitely a lot of like plot holes and just points where I was just like, this doesn't make sense. Like, but it was still very enjoyable.
It was very enjoyable, and it was very what's the word? Innovative for its time as far as like plot
Mm-hmm.
goes. It was
Yeah.
as far as like in general, there really hasn't besides Splice, which is disgusting. I hate Splice. Splice is just disgusting to me.
Yeah, I never saw that movie because I knew that it was going to freak me out. Like on a
Yeah, it's the themes of it.
on that level.
Well,
Huh?
it's not even the out level. It's the with Splice. Um, and I can't really explain it to you without watching the movie because it'll um pretty much ruin it.
Well, if you pick that movie for one of our movies, then I'll watch it, but I likely will not
No,
watch it any other way.
I would not recommend Splice to you because I mean, there's probably somebody out there that likes the movie, but like in my opinion, it's like a
So
little
this
bit.
is the one that came out in 2009?
Yeah, yeah, both like
Uh,
I think the sex scenes
on Google it says in a nutshell, melodramatic and horrific.
pretty much.
That what a
It's a
description.
concept because they're both scientists and stuff like that, but like it turns kind of ancestral because technically like the doctor made this girl and it's weird. I already told you like at the beginning, like I am not a fan of the falling in love with a baby trope.
Yeah.
Baby.
I mean, I I am also not in love with the falling in
I,
love with the baby
well,
trope.
I love
It's
Fifth Element.
gross.
I love Fifth Element, but that's what that is.
Yeah.
Choose the perfect
You know
species.
what also is that?
Hmm.
You know what also is that? Jacob Black and and Rutabaga. I really have not intentionally like
I,
tried to bring it back to Twilight in each episode, but it's just there.
I little Alaska talks. We don't need to talk about her.
Alaska talks. Just
Alrighty. So that pretty much wraps up our episode. We'll probably announce our next episodes coming up soon because I will be on tour all next month, so we're gonna be taking a little bit of a
yeah.
lull. So try to film in
So
person.
also
So go ahead.
we you can expect to get episodes twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
It might increase later down the line, but right now, while this is still really new and fresh, and we're still finding our groove, you can expect to get episodes twice a month.
Right.
Um, and we do plan to do other content in between those episodes, but again, just bear with us while we find that groove.
Also,
Um,
Spotify has a poll, by the way, you can put on your podcast. So I think we're gonna go ahead and we'll see if you can comment below, or just comment or hit us up on Instagram. We'll do a poll on that. If you guys want to start doing live sessions, since the next couple of sessions we'll be here, we'll be together in person.
yeah,
So if you guys want to try to do live, if not, we'll keep on going from there. Like normal, if you have any book recommendations, please let us know. DM us.
yeah,
That we will not read. If not, go back to last episode. There's a couple books we will not be discussing on the pod, or authors that we won't be supporting.
yeah.
Mule
Um,
Doc as well. We need to put that in there.
yeah. In the last episode, I think I said the next book that I wanted to read that was gonna be my pick for you was gonna be Den of Vipers.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna push that back
Okay.
because I really want to talk about Sinners. I really want to talk about Sinners. So,
No, I need
uh, the
to.
next book that I'm going to read is likely going to be Interview with a Vampire, but I want to do a little bit more research and find a good vampire book that is not Twilight. Um, so it might be Interview with a Vampire, but it also might be something. It will be vampire themed, is what I'm saying. So
Because we're
get
doing.
ready for that.
Okay. I mean, if you really want it, we could go to True Blood.
No,
Why not? We
no,
can go to True Blood. Just the first one.
because
It gives the
if I
same.
read the books, it's gonna make me want to watch the TV show, and I just did a rewatch. And you know something that's crazy? I always end up rewatching True Blood because I never remember how it ends,
Oh.
and then I forget how it ends each and every time, and I think it's because the ending is so bad that my brain will not store it. I have lyrics stored in my brain for songs that I haven't heard since 1997, but I can't remember what happened in the last episode of True Blood.
True. We will figure it out, guys.
So,
Our will probably be airing until probably a couple weeks into May.
like
Um,
mid-May.
yeah, so we'll be out for a little bit. So you have plenty of time to request things or help us out with that. So we're gonna go for vampires. We're definitely gonna do the movie Sinners.
Yes.
Hopefully tomorrow when I feel better. Um, and then for my pick, we're looking for Latina themed or um, Latin um, dark romance novels. We don't want the author. We want something that has culture in it. Um, in the book that is not offensive. Currently, I'm looking at ink by who says it? Who writes it? I'm already not remembering. But anyways, Jade
Her brain is
Hernandez.
shutting down, y'all.
Yes, inked by Jade Hernandez. I want to do a little bit more research on that just because I definitely don't want to do anything that's offensive because I know Inked is set in Mexico. And after the whole Emily Perez thing, we're not trying to fuck shit up. So I
Yeah.
kind of want opinions on that. But if you have any recommendations, just let us know. And yeah, that's pretty much it for now.
All right. This is Selena, Michelle, and Lilith Siren signing off. I hope you enjoyed the episode. You can find us on Instagram at BFF for real podcast, and on Spotify, on TikTok, on YouTube. So yeah,
If
like,
you have
comment, subscribe, all of
everything,
that.
yep, absolutely. All right, signing out.
Bye. Good